You see, it's very strange how history is written, isn't it? Because Britain has a very strong radical tradition. As we mentioned in the film, the idea of common ownership goes back to the Middle Ages. And that's been a strong current in Labour politics. At the end of the war, big problems remained, but also as the memory of the mass unemployment, the poverty, the ill health, the bad housing from the 1920s and the 1930s. And the logic was, well, if we can organise ourselves collectively to fight a war, surely we can organise ourselves collectively to repair the industries and to make a better society. We found lots of bits of old archive film, as you can see, but my favourite bit of the archive that we found was seeing Winston Churchill heckled. That was great for us because the biggest war Churchill fought was against the working class of his own country. And people forget that. They forget they're dazzled by the 6 years of the wartime. But his legacy as a politician was as a class warrior against the people of the working class of his own country.
So what happened? I mean, how could Labour in quite a short time lose this enormous majority? Though, as you showed in your film, these projects have been very popular. The policies have been very popular. People have improved their life, could improve their... Well, what happened?
Obviously, reconstructing the country was a big job. We kept rationing. There were years of austerity. There weren't many consumer goods. People got tired, I think. The propaganda against the Labour government was unremitting. Almost all the press, all the popular press, was against the Labour government. So you had every day the constant propaganda saying, "Set the country free," was the motto. And we hear the same cry now about freedom. You know, freedom is always associated in the minds of the rich with freedom to make money, freedom to exploit. So it was the same then, and the same kind of slogans about freedom were to identify the freedom of companies to exploit.
In 1979, Maggie Thatcher, or the Conservative Party, won the elections. For most of the Germans, we never understood how she could be so popular, how she became re-elected, how she was so successful, and I mean, how could she do all these things to your country and to your society? That's difficult to understand, I think.
Yes. I mean, we look back and we think, God, what nightmare were we in to allow it to happen? I think a number of things were going on. First of all, as I said, the Labour Party, as a social democrat party, did not promote, defend, develop the idea of public ownership. So it never progressed beyond a bureaucratic construction. There was never industrial democracy. There was never power at the bottom, from the bottom up. And the development of a consciousness that was all about making money, all about the individual, all about me not collaborating with you but competing against you. And that consciousness really took a grip. I think we've reached a stage now in human development where we cannot leave the world to the game of the market, because it is crumbling. It's absolutely crumbling. Not only individuals' lives are wrecked, families are wrecked, countries are wrecked, but the world itself is crumbling. So without a plan, which has to be democratically controlled from the bottom, then I think we can't survive. So I think that's a starting point for socialism. I think, obviously it has to be refined. It's a huge question, but I think that's a starting point. It's the absolute iron test is power has to stay at the bottom.